Hello. Peyton likes Duncan Keith. That's quite the insult to give Peyton. How's it going, guys? I'll see how long I can last today. Same problem. I don't know. I might have to go to a doctor here soon. I just figured it was allergies, and it's still going on and on and on, but I'm still going to keep on trying. I'm just getting a tea heated up here, and I'll be we'll get into all the goings on for today. We got a lot of games going on. The game I want. What is it this week with teams getting outshot mercifully and still winning? The Coyotes, Buffalo. There's another one there somewhere. Yeah, I figured the Leafs were going to lose that game. That game right there showed, first of all, the importance of having Muzzin and also the importance of having players that can beat the crap out of you. And that's what the Rangers did this year, right? They went and got Gaudreaus and guys like that. And it was all for what's about to happen here heading to the playoffs. Hey, Mike Hengen, how you doing? It's all about what's happening here heading into the playoffs. And that being that it's going to start getting grindy now. So it looks like some of the teams are holding their sticks too tight. There's so many games happening right now where a team gets outshot badly and loses, and wins, and that's usually because it's getting down to that. It's halfway through the season mark. You can start. It starts getting to the point where you got to make a push here now. So, like the Dallas Stars and the Buffalo Sabres tonight. Buffalo's won their last 2 or 3 games, and they've been outshot badly, but they got nothing to lose. So when they get shots, they're not holding their stick tight. They're like, I'll try it in the top end corner. And usually when you have a good, calm feeling about you, those ones that go off the post tend to go in and stuff like that. Hey, how you doing, Kyle? How you doing? Their defense was horrible in front of Jack last night. I really can't. You can give it to Jack all you want, but the Rangers were beating the crap out of Toronto, and that was it. If you got to play tougher than that, and Sheldon Keefe said it absolutely right, no doubt about it. Like, they played like a bunch of pussies last night. Sorry, it's totally. And if you're going to play like that, you're going to lose. I don't care what your goaltender is or whatever. It doesn't matter. Seriously, you're going to lose. You're going to lose more often than you win. And you're certainly going to lose against a Rangers team like that. Yeah, New York just decided when they got down to nothing there that if we're going to lose, they're going to be black and blue when they leave this barn. And that's the way it should be. The Rangers are playing hockey the way hockey should be played right now, let's face it. And when you do that to teams like Toronto, the way Toronto played last night, they have a tendency to get back on their heels. You start beating them to pucks, and next thing you know, you got them. You're going the other directions. The Ducks, the Lightning, and the Preds are the only teams that have played 41 and 42. Yeah, so they're going to have an easier schedule in the second half, right? Kind of the reason why I got. Sorry, I got kind of the reason why I got Winnipeg today. Nashville's tired, man. Nashville, their last game against Vancouver looked tired. I don't think there's going to be much different against Winnipeg. They need a rest. Um, they've been playing their bag off. What what when do they get a rest? Nashville. Yeah, they only got one day off and then they play Detroit. They need a break, like a couple days to rest to get some rest. It's, I don't know what's going on with my I don't know what's going on with my daily face off. Every time I try to I don't know. But they need a rest, all right. Yeah, Seds and Islanders, they've only played 32 games and neither one of them are like that. And they got a rough schedule ahead of them. They were just saying some of the numbers for the Islanders that they're going to have to play and the Oilers too, they got a lot of games in the second half. I mean, those two teams I just can't see them making it at all. Yeah, Huberto Marchand has been my favorite player this year. Well, I mean, being symptomatic, it's pretty. Basically, if you are don't if you got to find a way to not show that you have the sniffles or something like that. Because if you look like you have a cold or anything, you're going to be in there. Are they going to lie? Maybe, like if they got a sore throat, I don't know. That depends on the player, I guess. If you got a sore throat or whatever the case may be, I guess you can say that you don't. I don't know what they're doing to see if these guys have a sore throat. Are they going to actually check and see down their throat every day and stuff like that? I don't know. Um, what was some things that happened today? Quentin Byfield was recalled today. So we're going to be able to see what he looks like in an LA uniform. Dylan Helly and Sinclair Way. Oh, Stone and Hag added to protocol. Jeez. Oh my gosh. Stone's not playing tonight for Vegas. Montreal might be able to actually win a game. Matt was on the ice taking part and will travel with the team and could even play on their upcoming road trip, but is not playing tonight. Well, Montreal could win again now against Vegas. Imagine that. Marchand has a rivalry with every single person he plays. Oh, in social media? Oh, okay. Uh, doesn't surprise me. What exactly is he saying? That's what I love about Marchand. He has a rivalry with every team he plays against. Like he hates the opposition. He doesn't care who you are. He doesn't care what team it is. He doesn't care. Well, he never would have played with you. But if you could have been playing a Bruin before, you put on another jersey, he hates you. And I love that. I love the guy. I think he's one of the, I think it's stupid that the league, I don't even care about all star games. And there's a reason, I mean, there's lots of reasons why I don't watch an all star game. It's, to me, it's just boring. But sorry, I don't mean If you like it, I apologize. That's your thing, whatever. That's cool. I don't want to poo-poo on whatever you like. But for me, I don't like it. But one of the biggest reasons why I don't like it is because it's a sponsorship thing, and they don't celebrate guys like Marchand. Like they don't. If it's up to them, Marchand won't get picked for an All-Star game, and that's if you don't like Marchand, you don't like hockey. And I don't know what you're trying to sell, but it ain't hockey. So I have no use for the All-Star sponsor garbage. Like if you like the reason why I have nothing against sponsors, that's cool. But if you're gonna sponsor a game, sponsor the game. The game is Brad Marchand. Brad Marchand is the game. Kachucks are the game. Did you guys see that fight last night in Anaheim with Anaheim in the Avs with McKinnon and not McKinnon, what the heck's his name? Why can't I think of it now right off the top of my head? The Anaheim game. Anaheim in Colorado. Delorier. And McDermott. That's hockey right there, man. That's what hockey's all about. And Florida's going to eat Edmonton alive if they like. Yeah, I don't like the slew foot. You got that right, Lauren. He has stopped the slew footing stuff, but no doubt about it. But the guy plays on the edge of everything, and that's what the game is all about. You play the game's played on the edge, and there's going to be people that get hurt sometimes, and there's going to be times when people go over the edge. It's no doubt about it. You could try. Well, that's not part of the game. Well, you know what? It kind of is. Not that you want it to be, but the fact that people can go over the line, that you walk that line, is the game. That you're walking that line, and if we're gonna walk that line, it's gonna go. They're gonna go. People are gonna go over it sometimes. I don't even like the skills competition. I don't. I don't. A guy can shoot hard. I can see a guy shoot hard during a game. The fact that you can pick corners, okay. You skate fast. I watch you skate fast during the game. I don't know. Call me I know I'm a negative Nancy when it comes to All-Star game and preseason games. He has his dirty side for sure. I mean, you think about nobody wants to talk about this. Nobody talks about this now. But Marchand is talked about and now the way Gordie Howe was talked about in his day. Gordie Howe was dirty as shit. Mark Messier played for the Edmonton Oilers. Mark Messier was a dirty-ass hockey player. Mark Messier, Scott Stevens, Gordie Howe, Bobby Clark. Bobby Clark was one of the dirtiest freaking guys I have ever seen in my life. And he's celebrated like he's a great goal player to this day. He was dirtier than hell. Every bit as dirty, if not more dirty, than Brad Marchand. It's true, man. They were dirty players. So it's not supposed like I'm not condoning anybody being dirty. Like doing like slew footing, I think is terrible, and should probably have a worse punishment than it gets. But let's not pretend that we don't have a history of Hall of Famers that were dirty like Marchand. I mean, come on. Well, I think the main struggle that they have is, Jay, is that this is always the best place to go. I very seldom look at my Twitter. Every once in a while, I'll tweet something, but I usually don't look at my messages and stuff like that. I think the biggest problem is that they've had too many guys that have had to play down the line, up too high on the line in the lineup, and they're getting tired. And now I guess Stone is out tonight, so I'm glad I took down my Vegas pick. I still got the over. I think it'll still be a fast-paced, lots of goals game, but who is it that's hit one player and made him paralyzed? Uh oh yeah. You know what? I can't remember. I believe that was a Boston player hit him right over the head or something like that. Yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean, that's never part of the game. We're not even going to try to pretend that. A slew foot, you can make a case that a guy didn't really try to slew foot the guy, or the guy fell over a little bit more than he should have. But you take your stick and just hit it right over, crack it over somebody's head. That's a different thing. Well, yeah, they played good last time. The thing is Montreal got a couple guys back in the lineup last game, and I think they got a boost out of that. Now that being said, Dallas did outplay them that game. I still think Vegas is going to win that game tonight. Uh, but the juice on that game is absolutely horrible. But I think that's what happened is that Vegas has so many guys out that they have a lot of guys in the lineup. And I was going to look up Vegas while I was talking to you. I might as well bring them up here. That normally wouldn't play this many minutes. And also, Lehner has not been the greatest. Let's face it. I mean, Lehner has not been what they wanted him to be. William Karlsson's only got 11 points in 25 games so far, because William Karlsson is not a guy that you want to be going up against the other team's top players, and they can do that without that huge line of Stone, Pacioretty, and Stevenson. So now what's going to happen is Kolasar is going to go up there. I mean, that's going to be tough. Dadonov has been playing up on the top line. He's terrible. And really, when it comes down to it, because of all their injuries and their lack of depth right now, they've just had too many guys playing too many minutes that they wouldn't normally play. And I think that's the main problem. And the fact that Lehner has not been strong this year, man. And that's a scary thing for Vegas, because with everything they've done this year, if their goaltending isn't there, I mean, you want to be thwarted by goaltending after the Fleury deal? If Lehner isn't back by the deadline, I would not be surprised that they go do something. I wouldn't be surprised, because Vegas doesn't play favorites. Vegas doesn't go, well, we'll just, Lehner's a good guy. We'll try to let him work things out. That's not what they do. Look what they did. If you can do what they did to Fleury, they can do that to anyone. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Like they don't, if they think they're weak in an area, they don't give a crap who it is or why or how or anything. They don't ask any questions or wonder how your family's going to feel about it. They freaking change right now. They've shown it over and over and over again, right? So, especially goaltending, Vegas ain't going to mess around. And I think the biggest problem they have there is Lehner has not played well this year. So that would be my answer to your question, Pencil. What do you think? Do you agree with that? Do you think it's goaltending? Just 1 sec. I'm going to go grab my tea. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, well, that's the big thing is what's going to happen when Eichel comes in and plays. But you think with okay, I think Eichel will come in and he'll be very good. It might take him a week, but superstar guys like that usually they're going to work it out and they'll be back to being at least a point a game player. But you think about everything they did for that roster, and they're going to get thwarted by goaltending. And not only that, look bad doing it because you let Fleury go. And Fleury's been playing really well in Chicago. I know his numbers don't show it, but that team has been playing horrible in front of him. But he's won a lot of games for them. He's still amazing. And they went out and got Lehner, let Fleury go, and now Lehner's having a bad season. And let's face it, wasn't there always that possibility with Lehner? Because yeah, he thinks it's goaltending, Pennsylvania. And that the problem has always been, it's like the elephant in the room, that Lehner has been kind of a flighty, weird nutcase guy. I'm sorry, but I don't like to, I shouldn't say that way because he apparently suffered with mental health. That's not a very good way of putting it, especially from a person who has. But he's had issues. He's kind of gone off on some teams. He goes off on tangents sometimes. Um, and they knew that when they chose Lehner over Fleury, and now it looks like Lehner is struggling in Vegas. And now it looks like he's struggling in Vegas. So what do you do? What do you do? I mean, it seems like every team Lehner leaves, the team eventually turns to. Yeah, I guess you could say that. I mean, with with the Sabres, they weren't really that great when he was there. The Islanders, with the Islanders, it's only been really one this season, and when you look at the amount of hockey they played with the lack of depth they've had, it was probably seemed likely that eventually it was going to take its toll. I actually kind of kicked myself. I didn't go with my gut and say that the Islanders were going to have a tough season It's just that every year they surprised me. So I kind of went, okay, they'll probably surprise me again. But this is the one year where and then the Blackhawks leaving, the Blackhawks didn't want good goaltending. That was the problem there. They wanted to lose, but not look like they wanted to lose. They were walking a weird tightrope there. Gave up in the second and third period. Yeah, like I said, I think there's some fatigue going on with Vegas. Who back up for Vegas? Who's the backup for Vegas? Right now, what's his name is injured. Off the top of my head, I'm trying to remember who their third. Isn't it like a guy? Isn't it like Logan Thomas or something like that? Logan Thomas, I think his name is, or Logan Thompson. Logan Thompson is the backup. Yeah, I think they're just getting tired. And there's also something else here. Something that has happened. Again, I'm going back to Lehner again. Lehner, everywhere Lehner has gone, there has been talk about problems in the room. Lehner is a very opinionated dude. You see it publicly. Like he'll get flat out. Like look what he said about Buffalo and how they took care of their players and stuff like that. Publicly, without telling anybody, without telling the team he was going to say what he was saying and the accusation that he was making and all that crap like that, without any thought towards any of that. He just blurts this stuff out. Imagine what he says in the room to people and stuff like that. I don't know. I just get the impression that the guy can be a disruption that you got to learn. You got to learn to live with. And maybe it's kind of, part of the issue there in Vegas this year. And I think maybe another problem with Vegas is that I think that they subconsciously or maybe even somewhat consciously, hey, Hockey News Reports, kind of get the feeling that the guys are getting put into protocol and going on IR and all that like that to make cap room. And it's kind of awkward to see an organization sort of kind of cheating a little bit. And then you have this over your head thing where you're saying, okay, well, we're going to be good when Eichel gets here. Like, no matter how hard you work, look at Carlson. He's got 11 points in 25 games, which is well below his normal production. How much do you think of that has something to do with the fact that they went and got their hero Eichel, where, well, what about me here? You know what I mean? Like I don't think he would ever consciously say anything like that, but it's sort of like this subconscious feeling. These are competitors that think they're great and want to feel good about themselves and great about themselves. And when things happen, that sometimes you can question yourself a little bit. Like, oh, does this organization really need me? Like, am I not a number one? What was the problem? Well, all these questions can go in a team's head. And then you also almost feel like there's this savior status coming, and nobody in the organization will publicly say anything. Nobody's going to come out and say, oh yeah, Eichel's our savior, that kind of stuff like that. But there's an underlying thought that seems to be what it looks like. We really weren't good enough. We needed to go get Eichel, even though he was injured and he wasn't going to be here till the last second and all those sort of things like that. Now, there's lots of ways you can look at that. What's a savior status? A guy coming in to save the team. Like, think about it. If you're part of a team and you think you're really good as a team, and players don't look at it from outside. They look at it from while they're in their room. No player thinks we need anybody here. Nobody ever thinks. Players don't go into a competition thinking that, usually, unless it's blatantly obvious that there's weaknesses, and then they're happy the organization finds somebody to help out in those areas and whatever the case may be. But this is a Vegas team that was pretty darn good, and they kind of just had, they had to get over the hump against a team like Montreal and stuff like that. But I don't think anybody in that room would have thought we need a number one center. And I don't think Carlson ever thought that. Not that they didn't necessarily, but I don't think they thought they needed it. And that can be an issue when you go out and get a guy and everybody's like, oh, we're going to get Eichel. And then part of you inside, part of a person inside of them in that situation can say, well, how good was I? Like, was I not good enough? It can be there. It can be there. So sometimes when like, how many times have you seen a team go out and get somebody big at the deadline, and then that team is out in the first round? And you go like, well, why couldn't they? And that's, a lot of philosophy as to, there's a lot of teams that won't do something like that at the deadline. Because what'll happen is, well, first of all, like, there's chemistry, just chemistry alone. And second of all, there is this feeling in the room that, hey, were we not good enough? Who is this guy? We worked and got here as a team, and now you're going to go get somebody else that's not part of the team at the moment, and then you got to build a team around that. And, hockey's a weird sport. It sometimes isn't just about a player's skill level that you bring on a team. It is really truly a team sport, and if you don't do it right, it can be trouble. And it can be trouble for Vegas. I think Vegas might struggle one more year. Maybe next year, when they got a full year with Eichel and everybody's on board and everything like that, I think they got a better chance. But this year, I could see it being a bit of a problem for them, having Eichel coming in at this moment. It might even have been better to not have Eichel, to tell you the honest truth. It's possible. Now, that being said, Eichel's one special player, man. We didn't get to see what Eichel could really do in Buffalo because that team around him was brutal. So it's pretty hard. I don't blame Vegas for making that move that they made. You got a young guy. It's not easy to get superstars, man, especially young superstars that, your doctors are telling you he's going to be fine after the back surgery and all that stuff like that. I don't think it was a bad move. I would have did the exact same thing as them. I would have made that move, no doubt about it. But I do think that it's possible that maybe not this year is it going to work out for them. And I think that it has made it difficult on players knowing that Eichel is coming. And that the team felt they had to make a move and all that kind of stuff like that. No matter how much you try to tell yourself in your head Some guys, none of this stuff ever bothers them. They always can see the right way of looking at it and building a team and stuff like that. But those guys are kind of the low percentage guys. Most guys, they have a pride, they have an ego, you have all of this stuff like that that you have to wade through in situations like this. And you can kind of hope that the coach can identify that and help those guys through it. But it can be a problem, and I think possibly having Eichel hanging over their head like that has been a problem. Who's late? I wasn't late. You're late. Who's late? Hockey News reports. So yeah, anyways, that was a great. Thanks for coming in and asking that, Jay Pinsulin, because you know what? Nobody has been really asking what's wrong with Vegas. I haven't heard too many people talking about it, but let's face it, they have struggled as of late. Um, and I just think those are some of the things that could be. After speaking all of that crap, they could be just having a down part of the year. Let's face it. They got to come back. Um, they can come back and be when I've watched Vegas. When I've watched Vegas though, they haven't really put their full game together. Their game is really hard to play too. They play a very taxing game. It's a skating game with anticipation. They're fast and they're all over players. And when their legs aren't moving, they are not a good team at all. Like some teams, like we saw Colorado last night against the Ducks, their legs weren't going last night. And actually, to tell you the honest truth, Colorado versus the Ducks last night almost looked like they were holding out. Like they're so confident in themselves. It looked like they were saving themselves for LA tonight. Now, Vegas, they can't do that. Vegas doesn't have a team, especially with Stone and Pacioretty out, that can win very often without playing balls out every night. And that's tough. Hey, John Michael, how you doing? Your Devils need help. Yeah, they're just a young team, right? And they are not the same without Hamilton in the lineup. I'll tell you that. However, they should have won that. They should have. What happened to what's going on with Blackwood, man? Can you explain that to me? I thought Blackwood was going to be a monster this year. I'm so surprised by his struggles this year. I don't know what's going on with that guy. It's getting worrisome. Because when he is on the top of his game, he's up there with the upper echelon of goaltenders in the league and the world. But when he's off, that guy is useless. Like I don't know what, and he's been off more than on. New Jersey as a team, besides goaltending, crushed that game last night. Especially the first period, they were all over Arizona. There is no reason why they lose that game except for just absolute disaster goaltending. Just disaster goaltending last night. I think it's going to be Florida and the over. Yeah, Ehlers is out. Yeah, I think Florida and the over. I just the Florida Edmonton game tonight. You guys tell me. You keep on saying whatever you want to talk about. I'll just keep rolling. Uh, I don't know. I can't see Florida losing. Like, they obviously came out with some jet lag against Calgary, and Calgary was bag skated all the crap and then lifted up by Sutter and thrown out there, and Florida was taken aback right away. I just can't see them doing that 2 nights in a row. And 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 uh, and the Oilers' team energy is just is an absolute disaster right now. Absolute disaster. Right now, I think the Oilers win that game if Tippett finds a way. It's time for Tippett to start playing the us against the world card, I think. The Oilers have to start playing like they're playing against the world. The Edmonton Oilers will win tonight against Florida, okay? Well, having a 6-day break is quite often not the best thing for a team. Yeah, the Oilers winning an OT. Let's put it this way: until I see the Oilers play, I was saying that the Oilers were going to go into we're not going to be able to hold up what they were doing when they were winning. Their defense is just an absolute disaster. Their goaltending is a disaster. If Florida plays like they did against Calgary, Edmonton has a chance. But if Florida plays again like they did every other game before they played Calgary, Oilers are done. Their defense can't do anything to that. Who's gonna Duncan Keith with guys like Huberdeau, Reinhardt, Barkov, and those guys coming down at him at 100 miles an hour? What's he gonna do? Like, people don't realize this, but Duncan Keith never was good at taking physical abuse. He was incredible at getting to the puck first and doing like Spidey moves to get out of the corner. But he was never good. He was never a physical player. And he just had the speed when he was young to very seldom have to deal with that. Now he doesn't have it. And when you get on Duncan Keith at the same time as him for the puck, you're going to win that battle 8 out of 10 times. I mean, I don't know what the heck the Oilers were thinking when they got him. And Tyson Barrie as well. You get on Tyson Barrie, if a player meets Tyson Barrie on the wall for a puck, Tyson Barrie loses that most, like 80 to 90% of the time. Yeah, sure. Duncan Keith, if the Leafs want Duncan Keith, they can have him, no problem. Oh yeah, the Oilers defense is a laughing stock, and Nurse is okay, but he's not great either. He's not great at getting the puck off other people's sticks and stuff like that. He's great at when he gets the puck on his stick, skating it out of the zone. You know, if Duncan Keith can get the puck on his stick, his first pass is really good, but they don't have anybody to get the puck off other people's sticks. And if Florida's playing like they do, do you think Florida is going to come out after that loss to Calgary and play like they did in the first period against Calgary? I find that very hard to believe. This coach has shown over and over and over again that he can get that team going. When's the last time they lost 2 games in a row? That'll be interesting. When's the last time Florida's won 2 games in a row? Like, this is an abysmal team to go up against if you're the Edmonton Oilers trying to get out of a slump. Like, this is one of the last teams I want to play against. The only thing the Oilers do have again is they're only 5-5-5. They're 500 on the road. So that is a bit of a problem. Hornquist is probably not going to be playing, and Forsling is out. But I'm going to look up here. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's been 11 games since they lost 2 in a row. They went through a stretch where they lost to Tampa, Pittsburgh. Oh, yeah, that's right. That was because they had goaltending issues. And the Rangers. After that, they've just destroyed everybody. No, wait a second here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Sorry, I wasn't that long. They lost at Colorado, then they lost to Ottawa, and then they lost to Los Angeles at home. And that's when they had some goaltending issues. Not to mention, you got to remember, Spencer Knight was in net. And they just don't play well in front of Spencer Knight right now. I think they need to send Spencer Knight down. I think it's unlikely the Oilers make the playoffs, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if Edmonton is not, let's put it this way, if Edmonton is given up on that team, if Edmonton is given up on Tippett, and, you know, I don't know what's going on in that room, and if they don't come out, yeah, I think Florida could just absolutely destroy them tonight. They haven't been the same team since Nugent Hopkins left, but I mean, even that. It was just terrible. It was just, I've gone on and on here about how bad Edmonton is. Edmonton. Is there anything like different for tonight? They're going to put Perlini on a line with McDavid and Yamamoto. I do like the Hyman Draisaitl Puya Harvey. Maybe that'll do something. Fogle, McLeod, Cassian, Shore, Derek. Why is Benson scratched? Benson has been one of the best players on this team. I just don't understand it. At least they got Skeevier in anyways. Nurse and Cece, Keith and Barry. Duncan, Keith, and Tyson Barry. That combination alone. Now, after I say all of this, you watch. Oh, where's my live? There we go. After I say all this, watch, Edmonton will win tonight. There's no such thing as the next couple of years. It's inexcusable that they're not making the playoffs right now. It's inexcusable. Fortunately, like Broberg, hopefully will be ready soon. I mean, he looked like he was pretty good, Broberg. But he's only 20 years old, so. But will Edmonton make the playoffs? I said when they were in their winning streak that you know, I thought maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe when I was sitting here, I was saying, maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it doesn't matter that they have a bad defense. They're just going to outscore people forever. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't work that way. And even Dave Tippett said that. When they started going through a rough stretch, Dave Tippett said, I've been saying this now for a while, you can't survive just by scoring on the power play over and over and over again. And when it comes right down to it, okay, here's the thing that I think that's going on with the Edmonton Oilers. The Edmonton Oilers know that their goaltending is not good enough, and neither is their defense. Their forwards know that their defense and goaltending isn't good enough. And that is very awkward. And I don't mean that, like, think about this. You got a coach or players saying, you guys got to take the man better in the corners. You got to get better at you got to do better at stripping the puck off of sticks. But every forward in there, especially Draisaitl and McDavid and those guys that know the game well enough, know that they don't have the guys to do the very thing that needs to be done. It's not because they're not doing it to their capabilities. It's because they don't have the capability to do it. And that's the worst part. That just starts to break down a team over time. Now you got Draisaitl and McDavid having to come back and basically do the work of the defense. And that's why their numbers are slipping. And that's why Edmonton doesn't score as much now. Because they have no choice. The puck's never going to get out of the zone. How many times do you see McDavid down in the corner fighting for pucks? Like all game long. And that's not his job. That's not constantly all the time. It's not his job. If they don't make the playoffs this year, they're a laughing stock already. It's inexcusable. Inexcusable that with the money they had to go get players in the off season and the players they got, it's crazy. I don't know. The only excuse I can see is that it's so bad that nobody really wants to go to Edmonton and there's not much you can do. Apparently, they will not give up their first plus for Chychrun. I don't know what the actual asking is. I heard it was Broberg in a first or something like that, maybe even plus. There would have to be some money involved there too, because Edmonton's got to, get the salary cap thing going on. So, but all I heard was that from Holland is, well, we don't want to give up our first. Holland will savagely defend his first round picks. He did it in Detroit, and his whole philosophy is you build through the draft, build through the draft, build through the draft. And I think being in Edmonton, it's even more so than it even was in Detroit, because in Detroit, there was lots of people that would have played in Detroit. But in Edmonton, it's like next to impossible to get free agents to go there. So in his mind, and you got to respect this philosophy in a lot of ways, that if you draft guys and you've talked to every prospect and they say, I wouldn't mind living in Edmonton and all that kind of stuff like that, you can build them into the family and then pay them and keep them. Now, so, yeah, Chychrun's a cool move. I was all over it too, I agree. But now, let's say I want Chychrun, and I call up Chychrun's agent, because you got to talk to the agent first, right? I talk to the agent and say, hey, you know, while we're thinking about your client and stuff like that. And before you even get the words out of your mouth, the agent goes, he wants nothing to live. He doesn't want to live in Alberta. He doesn't want to live there. What do you do? It's the uphill battle of being an Edmonton Oiler, of being a manager of the Oilers. All right, more games from last night. Any more news happen as of late? Nietzsche and Martinuk enter COVID protocol, but anyways, we'll look at more of the games from last night, I guess. Oh, there was two. Oh, we already talked about all of them. Basically, yeah, the Avalanche. From what I saw with the Avalanche, they took it so easy. I haven't seen a team do that too often, where they basically just like coasted through the game and confidently coasted through the game, knowing that they were eventually going to score and save themselves for LA. I think Colorado will probably beat LA tonight. That's my feeling about it because they saved them, but LA is a pretty tough team, so. Oh, absolutely. You at least you'd. But the thing is, if he doesn't want to be there, he doesn't want. Do you want to bring a guy in there that's going to be like poopty? I don't want to be here. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you just make the trade anyways, because you're right. And then just hope he likes it in Edmonton, and then at the end of the 3 years you can re-sign him. If not, you got to let him go. But 3 years of Chychrun wouldn't be too shabby, I would say. He would be the best defenseman they have right away. If you traded Chychrun to Edmonton, he'd be the best defenseman they have right now. What's he a right? He's a righty too, right? Oh yeah, Nurse and Chychrun is a pretty good combination. You still don't have the best defense in the world, but you got a much better defense. CC can play with Keith, and Barry can, or no, Bouchard. Bouchard will play with Keith. CC plays with Kukuk. That's a much better defense for sure. Yeah, most players. Some players don't, but yeah, for sure. So tonight's games, I'm going to look at tonight's games then. We got lots of games on tonight. Capitals versus Bruins, and the Capitals have Carson out. There's a little trouble brewing there in Washington right now. That team just doesn't have much depth, and you got a coach that drives players hard. I'm getting the impression that Washington is starting to wear down. They got again almost like Vegas. They've got a lot of guys, especially young guys, that haven't been had to play this much in the league like Alexei Protas. He's only 21 years old. Big kid, but it still takes some getting used to playing. Connor McMichael has been playing well, but really, I don't think you wanted him playing this many games, and he's starting to wear down. And now they're going to have Janssen Fjällby tonight, who really, he doesn't skate very well. So guys like Ovechkin and Kuznetsov have really taken the brunt. If you take them out, they're pretty much done. And on defense, even more so. You got Nick Jensen playing top minutes. Irwin and Schultz, Kempney, that is just not a good sound in defense at all. So I'm liking Boston tonight to have a bounce back, because they got spanked by Carolina last game, I think it was. So I think they're going to have a bounce back tonight with Allmark and net. Vanacek has been playing not too bad, but I really like Boston tonight. What do you guys think? Boston? I think Boston, and probably a fair amount of goals scored too. I'm not really sure what they're going to do about that. I think the only way the Canes sign Kokiniemi is if he if he's willing to take a contract that downgrades his salary for the next couple of years. Otherwise, I don't think they sign him, no. Yeah, I mean, he looks like he can fit a lot of roles. It's kind of hard to put a pack, like, what is Kokiniemi yet? We don't really know. That's the thing. His development was stalled in Montreal, I think, a little bit. He's still got upside, but what is he going to be as a player? It's hard to put a value on what he is. And I don't think anybody out there is going to sign him. Like, if he decides to become a free agent, I don't think he's going to get what he's getting now anywhere. Nobody's going to give him that kind of money. So his best bet might be to stay in Carolina and take a downgraded salary over 4 years or something like that. You got it. It's like next year he gets a qualifying offer, and then like 2-3 years at $3 million or something like that, or 3.5, to bring down the AAV. Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to put I know when he was in Montreal, there was a lot of games when I said, this guy's going to be a solid two-way center. Like a really good two-way center. And then there was games when he would just disappear. And I honestly think that was just because he wasn't physically ready to be playing that type of hockey. They played him way too high in the lineup, like we were just talking about with Washington and Buffalo and stuff like that. So, yeah, if he has good teammates. Yeah, he's not a guy that's going to control a line yet. That's that. It certainly seems like that, Lauren, doesn't it? He doesn't look like he's a guy that can run a line. He's a complementary piece to a line, and I think he's got still has a fair amount of upside. But it's really hard to put a value on that over the long term. a bridge deal, I don't know what they're going to do with him. I really have a difficult time figuring out what they're going to do with him. And the thing about Carolina is they're not afraid to do anything. They could do anything. I could see him just walking from it. I could see them walking from it. I could see them signing him to one more year at the rate. I could see them I think they want to do a downgraded long-term contract if they could. That's what they would like to do. But it's really up to him, because if he turns the contract down, they just don't give him a qualifying offer and he becomes a free agent. The thing is, though, I don't know, like, in my mind, I don't think he's going to get much more than 3 or 4 million out there on the open market. I don't think so, based on the year he had this year and the struggles he had in Montreal and the fact that you're in a flat cap world. Yeah. All right, so we did Boston. Boston's going to have Riley out tonight. I like the over. Stars versus Sabres. And as much as the Stars have kind of, like, they should have beat Montreal. The whole thing about the Stars, I think, is do they get good goaltending? But honestly, the last 3 games, the Sabres have not deserved to win the games they won. They've been outshot, outchanced. Expected goals have been in the favor of the opposition every single game. That just can't keep up. You can't just keep winning games like that. Their last 3 games were... Oh, sorry. Okay, they won against Ottawa. They were badly outplayed. Detroit, the second game they played okay. First game they were horrible. Nashville destroyed them. Tampa Bay destroyed them. The games that they do win, they're usually outshot and outplayed. So I just can't pick Buffalo in any one spot. The good thing about them is they don't give up and they keep on doing everything they can. They're a very try-hard team, and they can outwork you and get a couple lucky bounces. But if I'm going to pick a team, the only reason why I'm like Dallas, I don't like their energy right now. I don't like the whole Klingberg situation that's going on in the room. I'm really iffy on what's going on with Rick Bowness and his relationship to some of the players in that room. And their goaltending has been shaky. So, like, if I was, I probably got to go with Dallas here, but I mean, I wouldn't bet the farm, that's for sure, because I just don't like their energy right now, and I don't like their goaltending. I don't like to do much with a team that has that going for them or not going for them. Yeah, there's not too many guys that can run a line. There's not too many guys that can lead a line. There's only, there are some wingers, Stone, Forsberg in Nashville. Every team usually has 1 or 2, but most players are complementary pieces to a line. One team that really I think could use a player like that is Winnipeg, although Connor maybe. Especially if you don't have a center that can run a line, then I find those kind of teams are in trouble. Nashville is like that. Nashville doesn't have a center that can really run a line, but they get by okay with it. But I don't think over the long haul it can hold up. or you can win in the playoffs. Carolina has Aho. Boston has Marchand and Bergeron. In some ways, you can say and Pasternak as well. Great teams have a few of those guys usually. Tampa Bay's got Point, Kucherov, Stamkos. They got a bunch of guys that can run a line. Nashville, well, on defense, yeah, I'm just talking about forwards. I think Yossi's got to get the Norris this year. Makar. Only because of Makar does he not get the Norris, even though as much as I like Fox. He's been incredible in Nashville for sure. No, his job's not on the line at all. I don't think his job's on the line at all. So yeah, I got the Stars there. I haven't checked to see if there's any updates on goaltenders. Holtby and net. Holtby was good to start, but hasn't been great. I still think I don't know what's going on with Ottinger there in Dallas. So next is Columbus and Flyers. Like, flip a coin here. Probably a lot of goals scored. Columbus their defense has been terrible. I think the over in that game. Oh, shoot. I think the over is probably the best thing you could get on that game. Columbus seems to be over no matter who they play against or where. I'm going to lean Philadelphia here. It just feels like they've been playing better and better under Yo. And I don't know, it just feels like a spot where they'll take it. It's the best I can say about that. Can't really put a finger on why I would say that. Do I like Hughes being the Habs guy they call GM? I refuse to call him a GM, but the guy they're calling the GM. I think it was great for Gorton because the biggest pain in the ass part of being a general manager is working on contracts, and he quite obviously won't be doing that. So you got a guy there that has worked with a lot of players. He knows how to talk to them. He's been an agent. He knows it from the agent's side and what the agents are going to do and say. It's a very important part of having in Montreal is to get players that are. I think Hughes will be able to identify players that will play not necessarily for the money. And that is a big thing. You watch players that fall down in the draft and then think about those players later and wait till their contract comes up and see like this, they're obviously money driven. They have a personality like that. And if you can identify those players before you draft them, great for you, especially someplace like Montreal where you're paying an absorbent amount of income tax. You're going to want to find players that, love Montreal. That's why when people say, they only want French-Canadian players, that isn't necessarily because they're a prejudice or nothing like that. What nobody says anything when Edmonton drafts an Alberta-born player. Nobody says anything about that. And guess what? They draft a lot. Edmonton drafts Alberta-born players because we have a hard time keeping guys in Edmonton. Montreal drafts French-Canadian players because French-Canadian players, Montreal Canadiens are a religion to them. It's more than just hockey there. It's like to play for the Montreal Canadiens, you don't care about money anymore as much. That's why they lost guys like Radulov and guys like that. So if you can also find guys that are not all about the money and for whatever reason would like to play for a team like Montreal, and then you've got an agent that knows how to talk to guys to encourage them to take less money, I think it's a great signing. But don't for a second do I think that he's an actual general manager in the NHL. I don't. No. Gorton is the general manager of that team, I believe, for sure. Yeah, oh, yeah. I don't even know if Ducharme is a good coach or not. I'm not sure. That roster has been so horrible, and so many things have happened there. Uh, I don't know. I've heard rumors that Gorton is going to bring him back next year. So that's the part I don't understand necessarily, but that you have to have a French Canadian coach. That part I'm not really sure about. Um, however, there's a lot of communication that has to happen there in Montreal. And I don't know if you've ever been to Montreal, but there's a lot of people that don't speak English very well. Unbelievably. Like, really, it's odd. So, there's a culture in Montreal, and that's the way it is. But, I mean, who wouldn't want a Brindamore or Hines or Gallant? Yeah. Quebec specifically, yes. Montreal isn't quite so much like that, but Quebec City, yeah, more like that, yeah. Yeah. Montreal is a little different that way. Montreal is pretty cool with trying to speak English and stuff like that. But I've been to Montreal as well. I was amazed at how many people like they knew how to speak English, but not really well. I was amazed by how many, even in Montreal, that they knew how to speak English. They could communicate with you, but not really that well. When you consider that you're in a country that is like totally English all around you, and you can't speak English like much at all, it's very weird. Like if you can go to Europe, you can go to places in Europe, and there's people like I think they have more people that can actually speak in some areas of Europe English better than in Montreal. Like it's very odd. And hey CL, how you doing, buddy? Do I speak French? I can order off a menu and stuff. I can, yeah, I can like barely get by. Barely get by. I took 2 years of French in grade 5 and 6. I wish I would have took more. That would have been awesome. But so CL, what do we got? Well, we haven't even been talking about the games. We kept on going on. We just passed the Flyers and Blue Jackets, and I actually picked the Flyers tonight. CL. I actually picked the Flyers to win tonight. I guess I can't be Habs coach. No. What's going to be interesting is to see what Gordon's going to do with that roster, man. Molten Bow was fantastic. Is he going to be able to do that again? Molten Bow. That is so awesome he did well, though, because we are going to be able to say Molten Bow for a lot longer if he keeps on playing like that. Hakanpää is not playing so well for Dallas, though. You hope they win because Cam. Oh, yes. The Atkinson and, yeah, Jacob. That's true. That trade makes it interesting. It would have made it more interesting if both teams were better, but. Oh, yeah, the French Canadians don't understand, people from France don't understand a word anybody from French Canadians say at all. Yeah, that's true. The Stars totally they got. Yeah, that's why I think the Stars beat Buffalo tonight. It's not that they didn't play bad. It's that, Molten Bull played so well. He was playing it. Yes, Molten Bull was playing against Hakanpää. That's true. I was doing that all night. And every once in a while, I think Hakanpää had 2 shots on Molten Bull. That was fun. That was so much fun. It was like, their games against Metro rivals, yeah. Like, do you know what to do there, CL? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with that team, man. Yeah, I mean, that's that one. What was the one against Buffalo? Well, who was Buffalo playing? They got Ottawa destroyed Buffalo and lost, and then New Jersey destroys Arizona and loses. At one point, they had 3 goals on 7 shots. That was insane. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's funny you say that, Hockey News Reports. If you look, my trade videos get like close to 1,000 or over 1,000 views every time I do them, but nobody subs. I think I'm the guy that people like to watch but don't want to admit that they watch me. Yeah, I think the Ducks will miss the playoffs twice. Oh, is that right? Kempe out has been so big for the Kings. I think they could have a chance against Colorado tonight. But I'm staying away from that game. I'm really impressed the way LA is playing. They're rolling four lines really well. Um, Byfield's going to get his chance tonight, so there's going to be some new energy in that. Uh, Quick is going to want to play well tonight, I think. He had a stinker last game, right? That was against. I still think there was a little bit of like subconscious poor feelings that they didn't choose him to play against Tampa Bay. And they chose Pedersen instead. I think that was part of it. But now he's going up against Colorado. And I think Quick is going to be angry tonight. I think Quick's going to be tough to beat tonight. Yeah, I've showed this to a few other creators, hockey creators, and they're like they can't understand it. There a lot of the guys they got like thousands of followers, and they don't get like over 1,000 views all the time or too often. I got like 800 followers and I get over 1,000 views on my videos, but nobody follows me. It's really weird. Bowen Byram, oh man, that's starting to be a sad state there with Bowen Byram getting injured as much as he. You didn't know Byfield was going to play? Yeah, Byfield's in tonight. You totally understand. Yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah. Of course you do hockey news reports. I yeah, I don't know, but I have fun doing them, so that's the main thing. The defense broke down a bit, but Quick didn't play well either against the Sharks. That's what it was. It was the Sharks. Quick didn't play well either. Let's face it. Oh, has he? I never noticed that. I never noticed that Doughty wasn't playing well. I think I'm going to kick myself for not taking Colorado tonight because they really took it easy against Anaheim last night. Yeah, well, that makes sense, Lauren, but why then? I don't understand why people would watch my stuff more then. Wouldn't it make sense if that is the reason? If having musical intros and all that are a way there people will follow more with that, I don't really understand that. Why would you watch if those are big things? Why are they watching my stuff more than those stuff? I don't get it. And I don't know if I knew how to do that stuff, I probably would do it. I've tried. It's pain in the pain in the butt, and I don't want to take forever to do my videos. So. No, I mean, look at there's a good example. There's a guy that gets lots of views. He's got lots of subs, though, but he doesn't have anything much fancy except for a musical intro. That's it. But besides that, I mean, he doesn't. He all he uses is a freaking board and he writes on it. That's all he does. He's just got great content. That's it. His content. He's got great content. He does topics on a lot of things, yeah. That's it. He also pays for promotion, too. Shannon pays for promotion. That's another thing. Yeah, I'm totally cool with the way I am. I'm not going to change anything. I just found that little part interesting. You can pay for promotion on YouTube. You put out money and they promote you more. You can do that. But I got nothing against Shannon. I mean, Shannon deserves every follower, viewer, everything he got. That guy works his bag off. He's great. He's turning. I think he's fantastic. He deserves every sub he's got. He's awesome. Why would anybody want Jeremy Lauzon? Jeremy Lauzon, I thought Jeremy Lauzon was going to be way better than he was this year. He has been terrible in Seattle. Absolutely horrible. Yeah, I wouldn't be wanting. Breaking news on the Canucks. Oh, they hired their general manager. That was supposed to have happened here recently. Did they finally tell us who it is? Probably somebody we don't know. No, what's the breaking news? I don't see it on Pro Hockey, whatever that I watch. What's the breaking news on Twitter? Rachel Diori? Oh, I'm surprised. I'm surprised somebody hasn't hired a female general manager out there by now. There should be tons of great quality female general managers out there. I wouldn't know who they are because you don't hear much about them right now, but I'm surprised there hasn't been a female general manager hired by now. Very odd. Montreal was looking at a couple. Yeah. Okay, they're gonna have Nick Holden's not too bad, I guess. Why are there so many bad general managers for the Canadian teams? Because they're too freaking old school thinking. That's why. They still think in this grass. They don't want to believe that analytics matter. They just don't want to believe it. They want, I don't even know what they want. Like look what Holland did to Edmonton or Benning did to Vancouver. Yeah, I can't put my finger on why they wouldn't go with guys like Zito or, they don't vote with their wallets. I don't know what that means. I just think that they have an old school, like every Canadian team has been a certain way, and they hold on to tradition way too much, way too much. Oh, I see what you mean. Part of the reason is because they show up too much. Yeah. Look at Ottawa. Ottawa's got probably the best general manager, believe it or not, of all of the Canadian teams in Dorian. And Lauren brings up a good point. If that building ain't full in Ottawa, they're not showing up. So that rebuild better be done correctly. And like Calgary, Vancouver is another one though. Vancouver is a weird one. If that building if Vancouver's not doing well, they don't show up in Vancouver. But they still don't do well. And they still have like old school way of thinking of stuff. I yeah, Bergevin. Well, Bergevin, of course, caught lightning in a bottle there with in the finals and stuff like that. And now it's the other thing. Like sometimes I don't know how much we can put on a general manager for drafting because they don't really generally do the drafting unless you hear what Hextall did when he overrode basically the whole organization apparently to pick Patrick over McCarr. But usually general managers let their scouts pick the guys. Now they got to hire all of them or fire all of them, and that would be the Bergevin's. You got to can you put that on Bergevin, don't you? The thing also in Montreal is how much power do you really have? Like, what if Bergevin wanted to fire Timmins and the Molson, for some reason, the Molson family likes them, and then you can't do anything about it. But if that not being the case, I think Bergevin was a bad manager because of that. He never that. I don't say he makes the picks, but how long does the team of people you put together make picks and not hit before you say, okay, we got to get rid of you guys and bring some new people in with a new look because their drafting and development was absolutely disastrous. And that was like that for 10 years, and he was a manager the whole 10 years. So, yeah, Boston and Giroux makes some sense. I don't know how that's going to work uh, because Giroux is from the Montreal area, so it brings it closer to home. Uh, man, I just have a hard time thinking the Phillies going to do something like that, even though ultimately I think it has to be done. But I don't know how the money's going to work. Well, it's only 1 year, so Philadelphia doesn't. It's only 1 year, right? Is this Giroux's last year? I should know this. Yeah, it's his last year. $8 million though. I suppose Philadelphia might as well retain. I wouldn't want DeBrusque, but that might DeBrusque in a first. You're gonna give up. You know that's the hard pill to swallow. Is you're giving up a legend for DeBrusque in a first, especially if he really wants to stay in Philadelphia. You could sign him for less. But will he take less? What's Giroux worth on the market now? He's almost a point a game player. Like everybody forgets that Giroux's still a point a game centerman or winger, wherever you want to play him. Oh, he's from Ottawa. Okay. They don't have that much for young players. They really don't. Boston doesn't have much. Studnicka, they don't have much for young players at all, really. That is a problem. But I don't know what they're gonna do to get it. Like they don't have a roster that can win a cup, and they have no choice but to keep on adding, and then one day somewhere down the road they'll have to rebuild. That's pretty much all they got. Unless they rebuild now. They realize we're getting over the hill and screw it. We're not going to have a 10-year rebuild. We're going to have a 4-year rebuild. And then you're trading away guys like Marchand and guys like that. And DeBrusque, I think it's going to take DeBrusque in a first. They're going to want a first. I don't think they even really want DeBrusque. Like, DeBrusque looks like he's had a problem in the room there. Does Philly really want to get a guy that's had a problem in the room? I know the guy I would want to get. I want to get that Steen guy. But I don't think Boston would be willing to give him up for a rental. And the other thing is Giroux may sign for less there. I mean, there's a lot of questions that might happen, but I like the deal for both teams. I can't see it happening. I think Boston still believes that if they build enough depth around that roster, that they're a contender. And as long as they believe they're a contender, I think they're just going to keep on rolling the way they are. If they were to like miss the playoffs one year or this year or something, maybe. Yeah, the window. You would think the window is closing. Marchand doesn't look like he's ever going to grow old. He's one guy that looks like. But Bergeron isn't what he used to be, of course. Yeah, we already talked about that. I don't know if he's done in Toronto. Probably. Yeah, the window is closing. The window is closing for Washington, Boston. I'd say but how long? Pittsburgh. How long can these guys hold up? It's that delicate balance, and the difficult thing that you got to remember: these owners are emotionally involved in these players, and that's really the big thing. Most of these owners are emotionally involved with these players, and you've got sponsors out there that are these players are attached to their products. You trade those players, you're going to lose sponsors. Giroux to Toronto? I don't see it. I don't see it. The Senators and Penguins, and the Penguins should destroy that game. Oh, have they? Jari's in net, but the Penguins did just come off a 6-game Western road trip, of which they played pretty darn well. And if it was something other than the Senators here, maybe I would take the Senators, but I think the Penguins win this game. But I mean, there's a good example. When are the Penguins going to rebuild? The Penguins have a system that'll always keep them in there. But are they really a contender anymore? Malkin is 35. Crosby's 34. Letang's 34. How long are these guys going to hold up for? Carter's 37. Brian Russ needs a contract at 29. Yeah, the Islanders are, and they're not even as overhill as people make them out to be, but Boston, Washington, and Pittsburgh are the real over-the-hill teams. San Jose, kind of, because their big contracts are more what's over the hill than anything. Those are the big ones that are over there. Dallas. Dallas is getting there. Tampa? Let's take a look at Tampa. Well, Stamkos. Oh, Kucherov's 28. That's not bad. Points 25. Perry can be replaced. Stamkos is only, they're not really as old as you think they are. They're getting closer, though. Hedman's a young 31. He'll be playing until he's 40. McDonough, maybe. They're mature for sure, but I don't know if you call them old. Another 2 or 3 years, and then they're getting old. Yeah, they're approaching that. They're approaching that area where you got like a couple year window, and then you got to wonder. Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to finish the games off here, and I'm going to let you go. My voice is holding up better today. Jets versus Predators. I like the Jets. I just think the Preds are kind of burnt out right now, and Jets have the better legs. Showing against Vancouver. Tough. It'll be a tough game because the Predators always just play like that. It would have been better if Ehlers was in the lineup, but I still lean the Jets there. Panthers, Oilers, we talked about that one already. I can't see the Panthers having the same thing, and until I see something better from the Oilers, I'm taking the Panthers. Avalanche, Kings. I could see the Kings winning this game, but after I watched the Avalanche kind of take it easy on Anaheim last night, I think it's going to be a barn burner game, and I think the Avalanche are going to be coming out for bear. I think the first period here, the Avalanche are going to be, Kings better be ready tonight. Because I think the Avalanche want to give it. They want to have this game in the bag in the first period, I think. And Golden Knights versus Canadians. Like I said, Canadians got outplayed by Dallas and still won. Is that going to happen tonight? I don't like the fact that Stone's not in. I think it could be a little more difficult because of that, but I still think the Golden Knights win that game. And I'm taking the Sharks over the Kraken. The Kraken just don't seem to have it this year. I think they have a lot of players that know that they're going to be heading out, and it's just hard to get up for games. More than 5 on forward, okay. You know what? I don't think I'm going to go right to 3:30 here. My voice is starting to go again, but I went longer. I think that's going to be it for me. Thanks, guys, for coming in. We had lots of people today. It was nice. I liked it. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. We'll talk about all the games that have happened and all the news. Hope maybe we'll have somebody on. I'm not sure. I haven't heard from anybody. That's my full 42. Take care, everybody. Okay, bye.